Hi, it's Sandy Parker and welcome to Crafting for Almost Everyone. Today we're going to work on making a 5-drawer dresser to hold my Prismacolor pencils, and I hope you'll stay tuned. Well, I started working on this several days ago. It's not done yet, but I'm to the point where I can get you involved in making it. I have 4 of my drawers done and they look like this. And I'm going to walk you through how I'm going to make the 5th drawer and then how I'm going to make the cabinet for them. So the first thing you're going to want is you're going to need, for each piece or each drawer, you're going to need two pieces that will be the sides and a piece that will be the back and the front. So the pieces that are for the side, those are 1.5 inches tall by 7.25 inches long. So that would be this piece that I have a little S written on, and that little piece with an S written on. Then I took a piece of craft colored cardstock that I cut to 2 inches tall by 7.25 for the sides. And I scored it on the 2-inch side at 1 inches. So it would be, so basically it looks like this. Can you see that? It's 2 inches wide, scored at 1 inch. And then what I did is I just wrapped it over the top of each of my pieces. So your front and your back are going to be 1.5 inches tall by 7 3/8 inches long. And so these, I want to make sure I'm telling you the right dimensions for these, because for some reason all of a sudden I lost my mind. Yeah, they are 2 inches wide by, for the front and back, they're 7 3/8 inches long. So I'm using Beacon 3-in-1 glue because it will add to the stability of my boxes and make them a little bit stronger. And the stronger they can be, the better. Now, my cardboard, and this makes a difference, I bought on Amazon, and I'll give you the link. I'm not affiliated with Amazon. I don't make any money for it, but that's where I bought it, so I thought I showed you that, because it's 2 millimeter thick, so it's a thicker cardboard, and I want to make sure that if you try to do this, that you will get the same thickness, because it won't work with the dimensions I gave you if you have different dimensions in your cardboard. So the first thing we did was we made our front and back and our 2 sides. Then you're going to take strips that you're going to cut to, you're going to need a lot of these, and I'll tell you in a second how many for each drawer. You're going to need 8 for each drawer. And what you're going to do, I'm going to do the back first. I get very confused if I don't do this in a particular order. It doesn't matter what this looks like at this point because I cover it all with paper. But what you want to do is, this is a 1.5 inch tall by, I think it's 1 inch wide. Yeah, it's 1 inch wide. So it's 1.5 inches tall by 1 inch wide. You're going to score it in the center at 1/2 inch. You're going to lay part of it on the back of your piece that's labeled B for back. It's going to be on the back of that. And then you're going to want to lay another one on this end. And I'll show you these as I do them so that you know exactly what every piece looks like in the process. And you want to really make sure you push those down so they lay in place. Then, I'm not going to use my front yet. Then the other thing that you're going to want is you're going to want your sides. Now, when you do your sides, you're going to glue, you want to have them on top. When you glue it in place, it's going to be, hopefully you can see this, it's going to be on top of it like this. You see that it's on the end of this, but it sits on the end. It's not beside it, it's on top of it. That's really important to make this work. So your back and your front that are 7 3/8 inches, the reason that they are longer than your sides is because you're going to be putting this on your back and front to take up a little bit of the real estate. Hopefully that made sense. So what you're going to do is you're going to take this little hinge that we just glued onto our back, and you're going to attach it. I need to put a little bit more glue on that. I have a couple bottles of this going at the same time, so if you see me reaching around and I've got another bottle, you're going to want to put your glue on the end. Hold on, I'll show you that. See, it's on the actual back piece. It's on the back cardboard, because you're going to put this piece on that back cardboard, and you're going to make sure, lining it up, you want to make sure that everything is straight and that your little tab is on there. Hopefully at some point you'll be able to see that this is laying right against. I don't know how to do this so you can see that very well. Then you're going to get another one of these little tabs, and you're going to put glue all over it, because that's going to be put on the front of that section so that we can hold it in place. So you want to pinch this in your hand like that, and then I'm going to just stick it right in that corner. And I'll probably monkey with this a few times to make sure that I get it all lined up and it's in the corner exactly where I want it to be. And hopefully that looks good. And I'm going to put a clothespin on that just to make sure that I get that set up. And we're going to sit that for just a second. Then here's our other side. And we're going to do the same thing. I got to put a little glue on this little flap, and I'll put a little bit of glue. Ooh, did that come off? Kind of. The bottom piece is looking ugly. I want to make sure that sets up. Okay, so I really hope you can see all of this in action. You're going to set this piece right on that end. I'm going to put a little bit more glue on the end of this. So if you have glue on every component, it will make it work a little bit better, I think. Okay, I'm going to put that piece right there so it's straight up and down and it's on the end. I'm going to set it like this. Oh, upside down. I'm going to set it like this so it's right on the end, and then I can put my little tab onto it. And then I'm going to put this right there to hopefully hold it. Put that one on the bottom, hold the whole thing, and then I'm going to put a little bottle of glue behind it so it doesn't come flying off while I get my other little hinge. Your hinges are going to really help you in this process because they hold on to the project when it's trying to set up like this one is. Okay, so I'm going to take this top one off. Oh, I have to fix that other one because it just unglued. Didn't really unglue, it just doesn't like where it's at. So this one, I'm just going to mess with it all. I'm going to put this, I'm going to hold it back up, and then I'm going to put that hinge right in where it needs to be, and I'll make sure that my end is laying on top of my cardstock. I'm going to put this in place there, and this in place here, and then I'm going to go back to this side so I can get it to set up again. Nope, don't do it. I will say this about these hinges. I'm using, I think it's a Stampin' Up! Cardstock, but it's thicker than what I think it should be, because it's almost impossible to wrap it around there easily, because it's so, I don't know what the word is. It's so thick, it's hard to keep it where you want it to wrap it around. Then you're going to need more strips, and these strips are going to be a little bit shorter. These are 1.5 inches wide, and these should be the same length, the 7 3/8 and 7.5. But what happened was I ran out of the longer cardstock and ended up having shorter pieces, and so what I'm doing is rigging it a little bit and adding some as I go. And these, you're going to need, I'm trying to find the thinner one, you're going to need 8 of these as well. And again, they're the length of our project, and they're 1.5 inches tall. And it doesn't matter if you didn't score them right in the center. Like this one is a little bit wonky. That's okay, because we just need them to hold the project in place. You will not see these at all. Okay, so what I want to do before I go any further is I'm going to glue down, I'll use that other glue because it's easier to get out. I'm going to glue down the 3 pieces that are going to go over the bottom, and we're only going to glue one side of this. And after I do one, I'll have Rich hold this, I'll have Rich fast forward it after I've done one. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to set this piece up so that it's right up to the bottom edge, and then I'm going to try and make sure that it's well adhered, and this stuck to the other piece. Get up there. I'm not sure if my glue is problematic or if it's just the cardstock. I'm not sure, but this is harder than I thought it would be to get these things to stay adhered. As I said, you only want to glue one side. I already forgot that. Ugh, what am I doing? So we're going to do the other 2 for now. And what we're doing is we're gluing them to the outside. And what they're going to ultimately do is they're going to hold the bottom of our cardstock, or our cardboard, excuse me, our cardboard base. They're going to hold it in there. If that made any sense at all. It probably didn't. Okay, so then I'm going to put one on this side. We're only going to try and glue that to the back. Now mine, I think I said this, mine are a little bit short because I didn't have cardstock that was long enough. I used 5x7 cards and I cut them up. So mine are a little bit wonky size-wise. I'm going to put that one like that so it just can drip out eventually. You use a lot of glue doing this. So when I have ones that are a little bit shorter, all I did was I just added a little bit of glue and put one in. It doesn't matter that it's not exactly where you need it to be either. As far as lengthwise, it's a little shorter. That's okay. I'm just showing you everything you can do wrong when you're making one of these, because I'm really good at doing things wrong and not so great at doing them the right way. Alright, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to put my last piece in, and I'm just going to lay it so that it's attached, and then I'm going to lift up my little flaps on either side. I'm going to put a little bit of glue underneath so that it makes it so that these are glued to each other. So our goal here is to have these laying down, and then you're going to have your next piece, which is your cardboard base. This is 7 1/4 by 7 1/4. I've told you before I put everything below this, and if the instructions are too big to go below it, I'll put them on my blog. I hate doing that, but if I end up having too many words, it only lets you do 5,000 characters below a video. So if I have to do more, then I have to put it on the blog, and I don't like doing that, but you don't have a choice sometimes. And this will definitely be one of those times where I have way too many words. Okay, so you're going to put glue on your pieces of your flaps that you put in your hinges. You see how those are? And don't worry if it looks a little wonky right now. It'll straighten out when you put this in. Again, this is 7 1/4 by 7 1/4. You're going to put it in, line it up, and make sure that all 3 of your sides are exactly the way you want them to be, straight. And if you did this right, your cardboard piece should be sitting exactly in the center. They shouldn't have any gaps, is what I'm trying to say. Then you're going to need more of your flaps, and what they're going to do is they're going to go like this, and you're going to end up holding the cardboard in you're holding your base in from the top. I'm just going to use my ones I use on the top of my piece because I don't have enough of the other ones cut. So I'm just going to put glue on these, and I'm going to have Rich fast forward after I do the first one of these because I just want to make sure that you see how you glue these in place. This is to make sure that your base is well adhered and that it's going to stay where you put it and it's not going to move. Shove it right up against the wall and then push it down. And this one is a little bit long, so I just need to snip that off before I put my other piece in. I pinch it like that, so it's already L-shaped. Oh, that was a little bit too long. I'm going to have to put it over here. And I'll put that right in there. So this is what the bottom should look like. And then we're going to put a flap, one of our long flaps we need to put on the inside and the outside of this piece. I got to cut a little bit off there. You can see it's a little bit too long. So this is my front. My front is going to need to be sitting with the side pieces on it, like push right up to the front. So the first thing I want to do before I put my front on, I'm going to put some glue on the back of this piece of cardstock. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put my piece of cardstock inside the box, but having it right up to the edge, and hopefully you'll be able to see that. You see where it's lined up exactly with the edge of the box? Then I'm going to put glue on both ends of my cardboard front. See that? On both ends. And I'm going to lay those right up against the sides. And we're going to continue to add a little bit more once we get the hinges in place. So then you're going to take the hinge and you're going to make sure it's laying up against that. Then we're going to get the little side hinges that we made that are 1.5 inches by 1 inch. And we're going to glue those down inside and outside to make sure that they're nice and sturdy. Then you also want to make sure that it still is laying on that the sides are laying right up to the end of the front. Oh, how do you explain that? I don't even know. Let me put my glue on this piece. This is the piece that's going to go on the bottom to hold the end in place. right there. Again, make sure that your sides are lined up. And then you're going to put 2 more of the hinges on the inside. Like that. Okay. Then this piece that we just did, I need a little more glue on that. This piece is going to be the piece that goes around the bottom to make sure that the front holds its piece in, like this. Now, you're going to want to use either a bone folder or a ruler. A ruler is what I use. And then you're just going to go around inside your box. Make sure every piece is well adhered. I scrub the bottom too to make sure that the bottom is nice and adhered. And then you're going to go around the outside like this. It's easier if you put your ruler flat on it like that, and then just kind of go across each one. Sometimes your corners, you need to take your ruler or something straight and push that inner, the inner hinge. You want to push that in there so that it's really straight, because they can get a little bit off. There's one of those pieces. See how this piece isn't exactly in the back? It's not flat, flush. If you take your ruler and you just push in there. So our next step will be to decorate the drawer. I'm using Chip Sapphire Distress Ink. I've already got my hot glue gun going, and I'm basically, what I did was I went around the top edges and the bottom edges of the box so that that's where the paper might not cover. So I want to make sure that I get all of these areas really inked. Sorry if I'm out of frame. I'm trying to do it and still be able to see what I'm doing. So then what we're going to do is we're going to use a new kind of glue. This is a PVA glue. PVA glue is used for bookbinding. The reason I use it is because when you're using a thin paper, and this paper I got at Joann's, it was on clearance in their individual, like where they have just the paper, the loose paper, and I wanted to make sure that if I laid this in anything or on the sides, wherever I attach this paper, I didn't want it to waffle, and I'm sure you've all had that happen where you've had paper that will waffle down. And we don't want that, especially on something that you put this much time and effort into. I used this tool to flatten out my glue, and I got it at the Dollar Tree, and it really works good because it's a silicone top, and the silicone makes it so the glue doesn't really stick to it. And that's nice because when you want to make sure that your project doesn't have any waffles in it, and you don't want to have to spend hours cleaning your tool. Anyway, I thought that was really slick. It's in the makeup department at the Dollar Tree. And then I cut my paper to about 7 1/4. Nope, that's a lie. 7 1/8 and squared so that it would fit inside. And then what I want to do is I'm going to put a piece of cardboard in the center that I've already wrapped with my paper. All I did was I put glue on both sides and I just wrapped the paper over it. I don't have a dimension for it, but this is 1, and it's not 1.5 inches tall. It's 1 and I think it's 1 1/4 because no, it's a little bit. It's 1 3/8 because I want it to be shorter so it didn't come over the top of my box. And you want to make sure that it's not going to buckle your box when you put it in. So I'm going to put it like that, and hopefully that's pretty straight. But what I want to do before I do that is I want to get all my corners pushed in, and I want to, this also has kind of a cool end on it. You see it's like angled, so it works good to just shove into the corners to push everything down. Just thought I'd show you that little trick. Before I glue this in place, I want to glue down my papers that are going to go inside, and I just cut these two. They were, I don't know, maybe one side's longer than the other. I think they should be like 1 1/4 and 7 1/4 and 7 3/8. If it's a little short, that doesn't bother me. You know, obviously this is a box just for my pencils, and I don't think anybody's going to be looking in my pencil box going, man, is that paper right length? If they are, they shouldn't be looking at my pencil box, you know what I'm saying? So I'm going to, these are 7 1/4 or 7 3/8 is what they should be, long, and 1 1/2 inches tall. And then I just glued them. I got to get that picked up a little bit and hold it in place better. There's one piece in. So we're going to do the very last side of our box, and I'll show you that real quickly, hopefully. All we're going to do is we're going to use this to basically make sure our glue is covered our whole back of our paper. We don't want a ton extra, and I'll just wipe that off so I don't end up with it on the bottom of my box. And then I'm going to put this in like that, so hopefully it's flat. That's the inside of our box. Then if you think that you need a little bit more of the blue ink, like on this side, I don't know if you can see that the cardboard is showing more, you can just kind of go along the inside and add a little bit. It looks better. Next up, we're going to put the centerpiece in, and I've already told you about. You're going to want to make sure that it goes in without being tight. If it bows your drawer, you won't be able to get it to stay inside. So it's a little bit loose, but that's okay because I can use hot glue to fix it. Okay, so this one is, it is 7 3/8 right now. And that's probably the length you're going to want it to be. And the way I'm going to get mine to stay in, mine's a little under that, but the way I'm going to get it to stay inside is I'm going to put hot glue on the end like that. And I'm going to put it in, hopefully it's in the center, or close to the center. Needs to be over just a little bit more. Okay. So I'm going to put some glue on the back of my box. And then I'm going to put that in there so that it stays. And then I'm going to put this end, well, I don't know if you can see this, but I'm going to have to do it so I can see it, and then you'll be able to see it. I put glue up against that wall, and then I'm just going to put, I want to make sure it's straight, and then I'm going to put glue up against the side. Okay, I just ran a little bit of glue on both sides of my centerpiece, and it should be okay. Then, for the outsides, I know you're thinking this box was never going to get done. What I did was I cut 1 1/2 inch strips of paper that is, I think that's too long, isn't it? No, that's right. 1 1/2 inch strips of 12-inch paper. And the reason I did it that way is because I thought it would be a lot easier, and it was, to wrap these around my box. I'll show you as soon as I get my glue on it. You're going to put glue across the front, down the sides, because you're going to wrap it. You want your front to be perfect. You want it, I mean, you want it to have whatever paper that you choose. You want the front to look really nice. And so that's why I did it this way, so that my ends would not be on the front. They would be wrapped around to the side, and then my front would look nice. And then we're going to do the same thing. So that is how we're making the box, or the drawer, excuse me. Not a box, it's a drawer. For the 100th time, it's a drawer, not a box. And once we've done this, I think what I'm going to do is make another video where I show you how to make the actual holder, because this one is long and painful enough, I think. Just saying. So there is one of our drawer inserts. I'll show you the other four. They're all laying on top of each other perfectly. I think they're pretty straight. I might be wrong, but I think they're pretty straight. I hope that you enjoyed this and that you give it a thumbs up and subscribe, and please tell your friends about me on social media, because you know I love that. And thanks so much for watching. Bye-bye.